All right, I'm here with my friend Elaine Streno from Second Harvest Food Bank, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing Elaine. I've known her for a long time, but I really am going to give her the chance to tell everybody first. First off, thanks for doing this. I know that you takes time out of your day, so I appreciate it. But I just love for
You are welcome.
like I said, Second Harvest is one of the most recognized brands I think in our community. But I want people to hear from you. What is Second Harvest? What's the mission? What's a little bit of history, and then of course what you do. So take it away.
Sure. Yeah, so history. We started Second Harvest in Knoxville in 1982. Not we, but the community. Um, we being me, is not I wasn't there then. Um, it's part of a national organization called Feeding America,
Okay.
and there's 200 affiliates in the United States distributing food.
Okay.
Um, we locally have distributed food in 18 counties since 1982,
Wow.
18 counties of East Tennessee. And you have been involved with us, but we now have 8 different feeding programs going on in our 18 county service area. Very proud of that and couldn't do it without this community support.
Wow. That's awesome. And so, who typically, one of the things I think about as we go, we want to transition to a little bit about what's going on now because of COVID-19, but I feel like maybe one of the things not being talked about a lot is, in these crises like this, the most vulnerable are hit really hard. All of us,
Right.
I read an article that said, we can't keep saying we're all in this together because there's a lot of people that are in a vulnerable state that we don't even understand. So there's some of us
Hmm.
that are in it together in this way, and there's a whole other group of people who are in it together in a very, very different way. And
Right.
so I'd love to know just a little bit about how, well, if we didn't say your job as executive director, you run the show.
That's what they tell me.
And how long have you been doing that job?
So I've been executive director for 27 years.
Wow,
Yes,
that's
it's
incredible.
crazy.
That's
I
awesome.
know it.
So anyhow, shifting gears, tell me like how has this affected the way that you guys are carrying out your mission? Like you 8 programs, 18 counties, there's a whole lot of logistics and people and touching people and things that I don't know, how do you do all that in the current state you're in?
Yes. So we are a distribution center. And I've been telling everybody in the old days, 3 weeks ago, we partnered with 500 partners. Our feeding programs are pantries that feed the hungry directly, food for kids schools that feed the hungry directly, feed the children over the weekend, seniors feeding them directly. Our partners, we distribute the food to them, they give the food to the needy. But what's happened, Paul, in the last 2.5 weeks is some of our agencies have closed. Some we have to avoid the gathering. When all of these stay at home orders came, everything had to change for us. So literally, we met every morning for 2 weeks straight. What are we doing today? We are boxing up food that pantries used to order pallet by pallet. We're breaking the pallets down and putting them in boxes and distributing them to the needy. We had a mobile pantry last Wednesday in Farragut, specifically for the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, people whose lives screeched to a halt in a matter of days, right? And we were giving these boxes to them in the trunk of their car to avoid any, the whole social distancing we were trying to do.
Yeah.
This was just created by our team trying to figure out how we're going to do this.
Wow, that's impressive.
Um, Thank you. I mean, it's been an amazing team unifying type of journey because we knew these people were hurting, and
Mhm.
as you said earlier, the vulnerable that were here the 1st of March have become more vulnerable. We had 2 staff members delivering those boxes to a senior center. They don't want us in there. They are so at risk for this. disease. So we literally brought boxes to their doors,
Hmm.
knocked on the doors, and went down the hall. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's just been a total reconstruction of how we distribute food, but trying to get this food to the needy.
Yeah. How is, like, I would imagine that just demand, supply,
Mhm.
like, how is that affected? How has that been affected in this? Like, I think some of the food you got from grocery stores that were throwing stuff away, I mean,
Yep.
they probably don't have anything to throw away right now.
Nope. So that's again, I'm going to say this for not to confuse everybody. We have 8 different feeding programs. That is our food rescue program. And yes, what we knew as our food rescue program has screeched to a halt. There's nothing surplus in the grocery stores right now.
Oh.
The irony of our food rescue program is we're getting pallets of fresh produce from the restaurants, the
Mm.
restaurant industries
Yeah.
like Reinhardt and Cisco and US
Yeah.
Food,
Sure.
whose restaurants aren't, they're not active. So
Yeah.
they've been giving us the food that they ordered for these restaurants. So
Wow.
that's been a weird, we've been literally and trying to get this produce out as free quickly as possible because we all know how perishable it is.
Mm. Wow.
So that's just
So
one example.
So you're a distribution facility, which means people have to come to your facility to go to work, to move stuff around
Mhm.
and drive,
Mhm.
uh, not trucks. What are they
Forklift,
called? Forklifts.
forklift,
Forklifts, and go into
yeah,
your freezers and your coolers and all this stuff. So
yeah,
and you have what I know, you have an administrative staff, that works in an office, and you have a whole lot of volunteers, and then you have warehouse, and then you have drivers, right?
yep,
And so I mean, everybody else went home. You
yep,
can't go home and distribute food. so, so
right.
what are you guys doing?
So we have 43 staff. And out of those 43, about 7 or 8 can work from home. A few of our fundraisers, 2 of our programs, people can work from home.
Okay.
But the majority of us have to be here.
Hmm.
And our drivers, we can't not have a truck deliver food to these needy. I cannot even begin to tell you how busy our phones have been with the demand almost doubling in some of our counties because
Wow.
so many people, again, their income came to a screeching halt. The stimulus package, those checks haven't arrived, the unemployment checks haven't arrived. So it's just been a crazy 3 weeks. And um my biggest challenge and my frustration is, when's it going to be over? Nobody
Yeah.
can tell me that. So we're all hands on deck, trying the hardest and the best way we can to meet these people's needs. We are essential. We have to be here, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. You are. I mean, I love Second Harvest, and I think what you guys do is, although the brand is well known, I'm not sure. Just as you described, like, I'm not sure people fully really understand, the kind of where you guys are meeting the need and how
Mm.
critical it is, and how many people. Like, do you have any statistics of typically how many people you guys are serving? Is it 100,000 people? Is it a million? Like, what's the number?
So there's 1 million people that live in our service area. Okay. 200,000 live at or below the poverty level. That
Um,
doesn't mean they're using Second Harvest.
yeah, sure.
Our stats, we have Feeding America requires a lot of statistics from
Hmm.
us. And so our assessment has been, we've been providing food to about 75,000 families in our service area.
Wow.
And what we have figured out is it could double during this, however long it is,
Oh
to
yeah.
150,000 families. And a family could be a senior, a single senior,
Yeah.
but that's still a family. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
So
Oh yeah.
we've been really struggling with the demand, the food supply. Everything is great now. Our warehouse is stocked, but all the food that we've ordered for May, the prices have accelerated. Brian was just in here telling me how much peanut butter has gone up, and it's a scary time,
Yeah.
and we don't know if that food will arrive when it's supposed to,
Yeah.
and when it does, it's going to cost more than it did a month ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I think, I don't remember if you know this or not, but, my wife we own 2 restaurants. That's
Yes.
her her business, so Hard Knocks Pizza, and she's had to adjust and pivot and change, and so there's a lot less people working. There's one good thing is not that it is totally good, but a lot of the folks that work for her were students or younger kids, so they have families to fall back on. Most of them, not all of them. But there are a group of people, in knowing the restaurant world now a little bit more than I did before I was married to my wife. There's just a lot of people that's paycheck to paycheck,
Yeah.
and so losing that paycheck is very, very serious. So you're correct. And then the second piece that she's been tracking that I've been kind of hearing is just there is going to be a shortage of food. Like it's very difficult to think there's not at this point. It's pretty
Right.
real that we're going to reach a food shortage. So
Yeah.
you just told a cool story about how you guys are delivering food. Do you have anything else that you like, how you want to kind of give any shout out to your team about how they've risen to the occasion or been creative or anything that you can think of different than that?
Well, we've all been trying to be creative these last 2 weeks. I mean, I've just been so proud of them. When you've been here as long as I have, it's really an ownership thing for me. And to watch all of these people coming to work every day on time and doing what they could do. I mean, there are a couple of us who have just delivered boxes to people that on a Friday afternoon when people call, there's not an agency open,
Yeah.
and we try to direct them here because we'll give them a box of food. We're not a pantry.
Yeah.
But right now, we'll give them a box of food and tell them where the pantry is that they live in,
Yeah.
wherever we get their zip code. But we've been, just a couple of restaurant workers. We'll take you a couple of boxes of food. We'll get you through the weekend kind of thing, because they've never done this before.
Yeah.
And we know, I mean, in our world, we know Friday afternoon is a very difficult time to get food if you are desperate.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to drive to our beautiful facility in Maryville, what do you do? We've been coming up with creative ways to do it.
Yeah. Well, the most important thing I would love for you to be able to tell anybody that watches this is, how can people serve? How can they help you? Is there anything that can be done to help you guys achieve the mission in a time like this? And as you said, like, this isn't ending. When we can go back to work, or back to our office, it doesn't necessarily mean this is over.
Right.
So what are there any things, 1, 2, 3 things people can do to help?
Well, right now, we're not having any volunteers coming in. We did up until 3 days ago, but when Governor Lee made that one more mandate, we're like, okay, we're going to respect that.
Yeah.
So, but we've hired temporary workers to pack these boxes.
Wow.
Because we've got to have these boxes. This is a totally different way of distribution of food that we've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, our website, secondharvestetn.org. We are asking for funding.
Yeah.
We have been so blessed in the last 3 weeks to receive a bunch of money. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, gave the network $100 million, and we just got $492,000 last night.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
And what his mandate is, we have to spend this money by May 12th.
Wow.
So we are, or have it committed by May 12th.
That's buying food mainly is what you're doing.
Right,
at that
right,
point.
right.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going through our inventory faster than we knew we all planned for, these planning meetings that you have when you do budgets. We didn't do a COVID caveat, So our website, I'm asking for gifts right now. That's number one. And then when we get through this, we really need people to come and volunteer and help us pack these boxes.
Okay.
I just don't know how long we're going to be doing it this way, but for right now, funding is critical for us, and it's secondharvestetn.org. And then you can sign up to volunteer on our website too.
I'll put it, I'm going to post this on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and everything else. So I'll make sure I put a link on there as well so everybody can click on it and go straight there. So I'm going to stop recording in a second. So if you'll hang on, I want to chat with you for a few minutes after that. But I do want to say before we get off from a recording perspective that you're amazing, and you always have been, and I'm really thankful. You're a gift to our community, and I don't think people, I've been around you for a long time, so I know that your energy is infectious and you're a great leader of your people. And I don't think as leaders, many times we hear people say, thank you. And so I just want to acknowledge for the world and for our community, a big thank you for the work that
Thank
you
you.
do. Very
Thanks so
important.
much, Paul. I really
And
appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I know that you would defer all that to your team, which I
I
agree.
would.
You have a pretty amazing team as well. And so that goes for them too. They're really amazing.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to stop recording real quick.